Hi, and thanks for joining us at Nasco Bay Speed Shop. We're talking about accessories, the Nasco accessories for an FJ Holden that you could get. So in this fourth clip that we've got, I wanted to just kick off by start talking about the dual horn package that you could get. Now, with an FX or an FJ, the horn that was available on the day was mounted underneath the front behind the grille, and it was just a little Roadrunner meep meep type of horn. Then after the introduction of the cars, you could actually get a replacement for this, and it was a much more powerful package. In this case, I've got here's the blurb for the Holden dual horn package. These are RVB horns. I've got the RVB manual here, and out of it is just a little blurb for the Holden. Now this is the 48215 model, so they have a different configuration as to the brackets that hold up those twin horns. However, on an FJ Holden, they were certainly. I've got the FJ Holden Master Parts catalogue here. So we've got the black edition, and just behind the accessories, we've got them as a dual horn package, and they're the real McCoy. I've got a pair of farm fresh ones that haven't been refurbished as yet, so it'll be a case of we'll be doing that before we put them on our FJ. But you will find now that they're quite heavy. They've got a fair bit of weight in them, and so as a consequence, sometimes you see when they have been installed on a car, some cracking around the apron panels that they're on. But in this instance, there'll be a high and a low note horn, and there'll be like an L or a H designated into the casting that you'll see. Now in these, for the FJ, this bracket that's here, it actually mounts into one of the folds of the apron panel. So they would sit either side of the engine, facing forward, so the sound would be projected forwards. Now, the brackets are really good because they show you where the holes would need to be drilled. And there was a diamond type of bracket that went behind this that actually gave this support from the other side of the apron panel. And these were painted black as well. So these were a black gloss of the day, and definitely the RVB brand. However, on these ones, interesting to note, on both of them, Nasco of the day. So they were definitely the real McCoy of the time. And so what would happen is to upgrade for the horns, the small meep meep horn would be replaced. These would be mounted either side, and in this case, I'll just leave that just nearby so it's in shot. And so what would happen is a horn relay would have to be first installed. Now I've got about 4 different ones. Like for instance, this was the standard 6 volt you would see, or a 12 volt for instance. In this one, where the handbrake goes through the firewall, this is mounted above it. There's a contact block there. This takes the place of that, and we've just got a fuse configuration there. The wiring goes there and there and there, and it's a case of that is mounted to the firewall. You had this type. You had, in this instance, I really like this horn relay because they've done some smarts. Similar configuration to the original 6 volt one I was telling you about, but here, they've certainly got the fuse here, but they've got a spare and there. So in the event anything happens and you blow a fuse, well, you've got spare ones right at you already. And you don't have to go to your electrical emergency box to get a spare fuse, or to the service station, or any of those sorts of things. It's a case of, you've got a spare right there. differing types of RVB products for the relays. Another one, and you can see that's mounted differently. And I've got another one that's here, a little bit bigger, a bit more solid. They're all RVB, and that's got the fuse configuration on the side. I've got another one that's, I can't actually place it at the moment. However, it's got double fusing on it. Looks really snappy, and I'll just have to trot that out another time. But this was certainly used for the horn package, predominantly with the standard type of relay. And what would happen is you would have the driver's side horn mounted with these bracketry, and then this the wiring harness would come down to the wiring. Now this is all ratty, being the old cotton loom, so that would be connected with your wiring, and then the wiring, if you think about it, actually travels down the front of the right apron panel and then goes over the top of the radiator, because there's two clips in the radiator that the wiring harness goes into, and then comes down on the other side, and that's what would be used to connect into the left-hand horn. So you'd have a high and a low note horn. You'd have the relay that would be required for your power, and the associated wiring that you've got to do to actually get it from one side to the other to get your horns going. So that's what's required with the dual horn package. Now, one of the other things that you rarely see, but was certainly available at the time, was the self-feed batteries. Now, these are just tops for the distilled water. It was a, they would come in a little box like this, and with when you think about the FX and the FJ, they were a 6-volt battery, 6-volt system. Therefore, they'd have 3 cells, and on those cells they were like a screw-in top. Whereas today, screw-ins are very, very hard to get. If you can get them, the battery has to be pretty much specifically made. If you can get 6 volts, well then more predominantly they will be the slip-in type. However, in this case with the self-feed batteries, you had the 3 bowls, 3 little bottles, and they would also have, as an attachment to them, these little straws. And it's a matter of joining them such that they can be filled up with the distilled water or battery acid as such, and actually take the place of the tops of the battery, so that they can go in place, and you would have the 3 of them on each of the cells, and then as any of the cells required distilled water, for instance, to fill up the cell a little bit, if it used some of the liquid that was in there, the battery acid, or it's a case it would gather it from the self feed, and that would fill the battery and keep it at the right level. So quite clever for 1950s when you think about it, as to what was available at the time. And I think that's just a wonderful little thing that they came out with, just to sort of keep maintenance up and running. Now, I came across an accessory that I've only ever seen on one car, and I bought this off John Rayner. He's one of the founders of Rare Spares. When in Brisbane, he had the classic Holden spares that was in Commercial Road in Fortitude Valley. Now, the only other one I've seen of these was on Michael Bishop's Champion panel van. Now, what it is, it's a scratch plate for your ignition. So we're talking about, I'll just take the keys out, or they're a bit tough. So this is a scratch plate. It's not usually used, but what it's doing is they had them available for stopping keys chipping the paint. They would actually have this as a scratch plate as such for the ignition switch, so that the key would actually go into it, and if there was a slight miss, well, it's just going to touch the piece of stainless steel and actually knock the paint. So in this instance, for FJ Holden Jive talking, we've only had time to talk about 2 accessories. So we've gone over the high and low note dual horn package, and also the scratch plate that you don't see very, very often for the ignition switch. So I hope you've enjoyed those little 2 pieces of information, and I'll look forward next time for you to view one of our clips talking about Nasco accessories. So I hope you've enjoyed the FJ Holden Jive Talking series, and that's it from me, Jules Knight, at the Nasco Bay Speed Shop. Don't forget to press like, the big thumbs up, and also hope that you subscribe. So thank you, and look at our other videos. Thanks.